Alright, not super happy with the outcome, but this is what we could do with the time that we had. Obviously that's going to get water in it, so just Sparky came, he wired it up for me, but not super happy. That little box that I want to use is actually a PV one, so I've got to get that swapped out after the fact. It says PV isolator on there, and just for the sake of keeping people safe, it shouldn't. But it's wired up, so we're good to go. He gave me a handful of bungs to stick in these holes, which was nice of him, so didn't cost me nothing. Yeah, well, it did, but he didn't charge me for those because he had some floating around in the back, so they're better than the cheap shit ones I had. Anyway, I'm going to pull, I've got these two cables pulled down to the other battery, but they're both hanging off the same pole. I've decided the two positives are going to come through the back, and they'll go straight up into the inverter. The two negatives will come to the shunt somewhere, so I'm going to put the positives in first, and then I'm going to pull the negatives through. I've got some 10mm terminals, 10mm terminals to go onto the shunt, and then one wire to go up to the negative on the inverter. So happy days. I'm going to go climb underneath the van now. These two should be relatively safe. The keen-eyed amongst you probably noticed I haven't got any fuses in there yet, and you are correct, I do not have any fuses in there yet. I thought I had some inline fuses in the shed. I don't. So what I'm going to do is buy some to put on the actual outside of the battery pack so that there's less exposed wire that could cause a catastrophic breakdown, but for the sake of finishing the wiring, this will be fine. So I've just lobbed a couple of temporary bolts in there. They're not locked down tight or anything. I want to be able to get them out if something goes pear-shaped. So I'll go and figure out which one of these is the positive and negative, poke them through the hole, and then actually I'll terminate them. No, shit, I can't poke them through the hole once I've terminated them. I will terminate them once they're inside of the cabinet. Right, mounted the shunt. This is a positive connector, and that one's a negative. I'm not going to stick them both together through the glands because I don't, without fuses in, I don't have any way to shut it off. So what I'm going to do is pull the other set of cables first. I'm going to bring both the positives through in one hit, and then I've got some shrink wrap, but what I was going to do, slide the shrink wrap over, push it where I wanted it here in the battery box, and I'm going to use the power off this thing as a test to see that that it's all functioning correctly. I don't have the servo controller on this thing at the moment because it's being used to test the battery, the BMS integration. Contrary to some of the posts, we are trying to build a cluster of JK BMSs that can talk to the Victron that automatically fail between each other. So if one of them drops out, the other one will, second one in the chain will become the host. Ooh, what are you whinging about down there? Noxious beeps. Anyway, so I'm going to go get underneath the van, even though this is the bit I really didn't want to do, and I'm going to drag the two cables for the front battery, and yeah, I'll be back shortly. Right, that's the two positives in. As I stated, this is in the off position, so I'm going to be very careful what I'm doing here. That's not tightened up. I want to shrink wrap those little red bits of shrink wrap on using actually power from the inverter itself, so I'll be very gentle with the heat gun while I'm in there. About to terminate the hang on, little loud truck coming by. I'm about to terminate the other negative. I'm going to be very careful about the way I do this. I'm going to bring it through onto that shunt and connect the left-hand side, the battery-only side of the shunt. And when I'm ready and I've got all the appropriate tools and gloves on, I'll connect the battery negative to the shunt, and then we will live test the inverter. So we already know the inverter works because it's been used previously. It has got some shit in it. I might go and get the blower out and give that a dust out before I fire it up. So anyway, I'll terminate this and I'll keep plugging away. So that's starting to look better, isn't it? Two negative cables coming up again. Heat shrink is loose. I'll heat shrink it on just as soon as I got some power here. This is going to be interesting. Yeah, one to go. Last wire. People say you're supposed to put a resistor on this, but the installation instructions don't say that, so that's all it takes. I see people using the resistor. Sure, it's probably a good idea, but as far as I'm concerned with the installation instructions say just hook it up. When there's an isolation switch on here, there's no slow charge, so you just flick the switch and she just charges up. So we'll see. If it breaks it, I'll guess I'll be asking for warranty. This is probably a little bit overkill as well, but that's good. Right. Shit. I don't want to put the cover on until I know that this thing's working, so I wonder if it works without its front screen on it. That seems alright. That's on one. That is... Oh, that's on. Oh, there goes a clamp. Alright. I guess we'll find out if there's any power in the outlet, eh? Let me go and grab my blower and the heat gun. Just had to have my Sparky mate come back because the in and out ran the wrong way. That's a bit how you doing. So anyway, they're neatened up now, and now look, the wires actually sit the way that they were supposed to sit. Isn't that interesting? Really surprised I didn't notice that myself. That's disappointing. But whatever, let's get this thing together. I'm about to recharge those capacitors again, and so Sparks. Cool. I'm going to throw a glove on because I'm paranoid as shit here. So this thing should save the day. It won't because it's a welding glove, but it makes me feel better. And I will not be able to do this with the camera. And again, I haven't fucking found my bloody plunger for this thing to make it stick to the wall. So I'm going to throw this bolt in, hook that up, and I'll be back shortly, and hopefully we've got power this time. Bit disappointing. I'm going to pop the cover back on. It was on for a second and then it was off, and I can't see what the error is, so I'll drag an extension cord out, blow this out to clear all the shit out of it. I'm just going to flick that off. I can plug an extension cord in anyway into the inlet and we can see if the mains come on or not, but I suspect because the servo controller is not plugged in, this thing's actually configured for ESS right now. It's not seeing its BMV 712 and a few other things that it should see, so I'm pretty sure that it will not fire up until I've got the rest of the gear in situ, or if I bring my VE bus adapter out here and reconfigure it to be a normal inverter, which I might do, but the reality is we don't plan to use it right now anyway, so it's not a big deal if it doesn't work for the minute. The battery leads came for the BMSs to connect the BMSs to the ESP32s today, so I'll do a little bit more work on that, and hopefully I can install the servo controller soon. It's not going to get installed in here anyway, so I still have to drag 1,000,000 miles of cable into the caravan, somehow get it into one of the overheads, so we'll figure that out as we go. Alright, cover's back on. Let's have a look. Low battery. Interesting. It's trying to charge, can't charge. Yeah, alright, it's low battery. Copy that. I can't remember what this thing was set to. Here's my multimeter. Wake up, little dude. Oh. There we are. Let's have a look what we got here. I reckon that's not actually a low battery. More inclined to think, yeah, there's 53 volts in there. I'm more inclined to think it's because this thing's BMV's not there. So there's actually nothing wrong with that. What I could do, oh, I've got it here. Let's do that. Let's see if the power inlet works. So, pick that up. Where's the rubber gone from inside of there? There needs to be rubber in there, I think. Oh, there we are. Mains is on. But I don't think it'll go to charge without a battery monitor in it. So the BMV is not plugged in. There's no servo controller in here, so it will not charge. I could go with my laptop, reconfigure it, but what's the point, right? I've got to throw the screws back into this thing, and then I may as well just figure out what I'm doing with the JK BMSs. And as soon as I've done that, I'll come back and install the install the servo controller in here, and then the BMV will fire up and everything will fire up and everything will be good. In an emergency, I suppose I could reconfigure it so it could be a backup battery bank for the house. Like, it's overcast today, but house should get to at least 80%, so I won't need it in the next couple of days. So what I might do is focus on the JK BMSs, get that out of the way, and then we'll go from there.